Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being on with us this afternoon. Especially, we all know that you're super busy and you have so much other things to take care of. We really appreciate you being on and just learning more about PERA in general, and then hearing about more tips on how you can help your kiddos, whether it's your child, whether it's a niece, nephew, a family friend, a foster child, anything, any little one in your life. Hopefully you learn more about how you can have them just be financially healthy, learn more, about retirement, so much good information. So I have to admit that I didn't do any of this that we're going to talk about in today's seminar. So doing the research on all of this, this topic was recommended from our vice chair, Diana Rosales Ortiz, to do something along the lines of educating members about this particular topic. So I feel a little bad, a little guilty that I didn't do any of this. So we're learning together today. So thank you for being on with us. Just some housekeeping. Today's seminar will be recorded. We will stop the actual seminar at the end of the presentation, and then we'll stop the recording so that way you all can ask any questions that you have, just that you feel more comfortable that maybe there are, specific questions you don't want recorded. So we'll definitely have time. And then please feel free to send in any questions or recommendations or tips that maybe you have to share with everyone in the Q&A function. So you can find this either by scrolling at the top of your screen or the bottom of the screen, and you can go ahead and enter in the question that you have or just other suggestions that you want to share with everyone. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. We have some other PERA folks with us as well. We have Anna Williams, who is our Deputy Director, on with us. We also have Karen Lujan, who is our PERA Smart Save Deferred Compensation Manager, on with us. And you're going to hear more from her towards the end of the seminar. And then I also have Christina Gauthier and Natalie Padilla, who are public relations coordinators with the outreach team with PERA as well with us. So a lot of PERA love coming your way today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So doing some research, I found out that this month is actually Financial Literacy Month. And so it was kind of a perfect time for us to share more on financial literacy, especially regarding our little ones. So all of this information, as far as this survey that was done recently, was by Charles Schwab. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this company, a worldwide financial company. They found in this survey that was conducted in 2020 that 89% of Americans believe a lack of financial literacy leads to social issues. This is huge right now, especially, with us getting over COVID and a recession. And I feel like we're still even in a recession, not educating our youth about financial wellness, can definitely be detrimental for them. So some startling data here. They also found that 63% of America wants to prioritize financial education. And they also found that 65% of Americans believe that schools should provide financial education. With these two data points within this survey, it's really interesting because unfortunately, a lot of our schools aren't required to teach financial literacy. So it's really up to us as adults, whether again, you're a parent, a caregiver, or just a loved one in a kiddo's life, it's our responsibility to really educate our kiddos on how to be financially healthy. And so today's seminar is hopefully going to open all of our eyes to be a little bit more proactive with our kiddos and their financial wellness. So looking into all of the research that's out there, and believe me, there's tons of resources. Today's seminar is just a tiny little speck of what is out there that is free, readily available at your fingertips on the internet. You can even order materials to be mailed to you. There are some even organizations that have you pay for different resources. But today's was all free, which is great. And I'll share all of that information with you. But the big takeaway from all of the research that I came across was, let's take the challenge as adults to really educate our little ones on being financially healthy. One of the big pointers is to be honest and open. So as adults, I get it. I'm guilty of this. After work, I come home, I'm exhausted. My little ones are talking about their day and, how excited they are for, things that happened. And oftentimes you're just exhausted and you're like, oh, great. Yeah, sure. Well, to really be motivated and to help your kiddos, be honest with them and open about even your financial status. Sit down with them, show them, what bills you have, what's important in your life. If you all are Netflix watchers, this weekend I came across a top 10 show and it's called How to Get Rich. And one of the things that this expert really dove into is being honest with one another. And they find that, whenever you're talking about finances, it usually leads up to a fight. And one thing that this expert says is, change that norm and have it, be proactive and talk about it ahead of time and educate one another, everyone in your family about your financial goals. What's rich to you? I think most people think having a house, being a millionaire. And, seeing in this show, the different participants within it were saying, to not be stressed about money, to take a trip once a year, to, just be knowledgeable about finances. That's a rich life. And so that can mean different things for different people. But as long as you're open with your kiddos, you're honest, you're already doing a great job. Second, I've already touched on this. Educate them. The more education you can provide on being financially wealthy, the better for your children. And then last but not least, I've already touched on this as well, is utilize all the resources that are out there. There are free resources. There are resources that you can pay for. And in today's seminar, we're going to share all of the free things that you can take advantage of as, again, either a parent, caregiver, etc., in your kiddos' lives. So the number one question, and I even feel like I don't have the answer to this question, but we hear it throughout our lives as little ones. We even hear it as adults. But what do you want to be when you grow up? Like I said, I think even as adults, we don't know this question because there's so much that we want to pursue. We want to reach our goals. But for kiddos, this is probably one of the first questions that they ever get. And so, it's always interesting to ask your kiddos what they want to be. But we also, as parents, have our own aspirations for our kids, and then they have their own aspirations. So if you ask my kids today what they want to be, they will tell you, Mom, I want to go on YouTube and I want to, go viral and I want to make millions of dollars just like all of these other kids. And I kind of have to bring them down a little and really explain to them, what it means to be a social media influencer. And I feel like this generation right now, we just went to a conference, we just learned with our Gen Xers and, more and more of these labels that are coming out, it's going to be a very digital world for them. And they're going to expect for work to be different for them. And we as adults even have to be patient with that generation because maybe we're not as tech savvy as them. But the number one job that little ones always aspire to be right now is to be a YouTuber or to be on Instagram, etc. So I thought it was pretty interesting. I didn't know what it took to be a social media influencer, but they have different categories, as you can see in front of you. But I thought it was kind of neat to share. So someone who's a nano influencer has to have 1,000 to 10,000 followers. And then a mega influencer has to have 1 million plus followers. So according to Vox, a micro influencer can earn anywhere between $40,000 and $100,000 per year, it's crazy. And it takes a lot to be a social media influencer. I think a lot of, kids particularly think, just give me a cell phone and I can make content. But you find that a lot of social media influencers, it takes time for them to get their equipment. Some, like in front of you in the picture, some use camera equipment, professional camera equipment, laptop, etc. So I think even then, when your kiddos say, I want to be this when I grow up, it's, very crucial that you sit with them and be, real with them and say, okay, this is great, but this is what you need in order to become, whether it's an influencer, a doctor, a lawyer. It's not cheap. I think every role career is going to be expensive no matter how you look at it. And I also thought this was interesting, and I'm going to show my little ones this tonight. This list is the most expensive influencers on Instagram as of 2021. So as you can see, Cristiano Ronaldo, who's a famous soccer player, makes $1.6 million just from Instagram. So this doesn't include Facebook, TikTok, etc. So I know he has to make more, way more than this. All the way down to the famous Kim Kardashian, $1.42 million, all the way down to her sister Kendall Jenner, who makes a little over $1 million. And so even being, realistic with these people, it took years for them to become famous, whether they're actors or just influencers, models, etc. It took a lot of time for them to get where they're at. And so being realistic with your little ones will definitely put things into perspective, and even just being a social media influencer. Another thing to talk with your kids about is life after high school. So, I think it's awesome, and I tell my kids all the time, enjoy being young, because once you're an adult, you have to worry about bills, you have to worry about, life insurance, et cetera, et cetera. And so, there is life for them after, and it's never too late to talk about what they want to do after high school. They can look at either, going to a 4-year college, a 2-year community college. They could go into the trade field and get a certificate. And right now they're, some of the highest paid positions out there. They could go to the military. They could go straight into the workforce. They could take a gap year and go traveling across the world if they want to. Or if even you have a child in your life who has a disability, there's programs out there that they can also take advantage of as well in their lifetime. So, it's important to talk about them to kind of feel, get a feel for what they're interested in. And then from there, I always feel like that's a good place to start in helping them, have these expectations of, okay, this is how much money it's going to take for me to get there, whether I go to college or whether I go traveling, to kind of just get that into their heads, I think is always something that'll be helpful. If your child is going to college, educate them about student loan debt. This is something that I wish my parents would have taught me or educated me about in high school. I just went to college, knew that I could take student loans out. I took out the max of almost every loan I could. And that helped me buy books. It helped me with rent. It helped me with school. It helped me travel. And now there's a lot more restrictions for children or for young adults, with how much they take out. And so it was a little bit different from back then to now, but still it's so important for you to educate them. So looking when I was doing the research, so right now the average amount of money that a student borrows for college is almost $29,000. So that's owed per borrower on average. And it's also $1.75 trillion in total student loan debt. 92% of all student debt are going to be federal student loans. The rest is private. 55% of students from public 4-year institutions had student loans, and then 57% of students from private nonprofit 4-year institutions took on educational debt. So it's mind-blowing about how much student loan debt there is out there. You can see by age group how much money is owed. It's pretty startling, and I feel like there might be some reforms in the future. But it's definitely something you should already be talking with your little ones about, especially if they want to go to college. Some more data for you when it comes to student loan debt. Right now, a lot of us, including myself, our loans are being deferred because of COVID. And so it's been great. I haven't had to pay anything, but pretty soon that's going to change. So this kind of just shows you how much is owed right now. And so for those people like myself who are in deferment, right now there's $113 billion that is being deferred, and there's 3.1 million people just like myself who are in this predicament. When it comes to loans like direct unsubsidized loans, right now what's owed is $564 billion. by 34 million people, and that's combined with direct subsidized loans, which is in the amount of $292 billion. And so, it's great for me to sit here and say, I'm not alone and there's millions of other people just like myself. But at the end of the day, I still have to pay these loans. And so, it's so important that you talk about these things with your kids so that way they know, not to be taking out the max amount in these loans, or if they can avoid even getting loans and, apply for scholarships, grants, etc. So that way it helps them, be more financially flexible in college and out of college. Another question that you want to start asking your little ones is, okay, this is great. Maybe you want to be a social media influencer. Maybe you want to go to college. Maybe you want to be in the military, etc. So that's great and dandy, but where are you going to live? Doing some research, I found that the average of a New Mexico home value is just a little over $279,000. I want to say this could be accurate, but I'm not too sure. I know with the housing prices in Santa Fe, this isn't true. But this is definitely something to educate them about. For your, the kids in your life who want to travel and maybe take a gap year. The minimum amount of money you can expect to spend during a 2-month trip around Europe, and this isn't including flights, food, etc., is going to be on average $6,000 just to travel for 2 months. I also, another startling fact, and I don't know how true this is, especially in Santa Fe, seeing the prices, but for a 2-bedroom apartment, the average cost in New Mexico is $1,400 a month. Your kiddo might want to split that with another student or a friend, family member, or just, go with a 2-bedroom apartment and land up paying $1,400 a month. And then another statistic that was interesting is that 46.5% of young adults now live with their parents. And so this has been a really trending topic, especially with COVID. A lot of students who are at college or just living out of state went back home to live with their parents, either because, it was just scary altogether. They couldn't afford, to keep their apartment because they couldn't work because of COVID, et cetera, et cetera. So right now, currently, that is 46.5%, even after the pandemic, of young adults who are living with their parents. The perk about that is they get to save money while living with parents, and you find that there's a lot of intergenerational people living together. So you even have college students now living with grandparents just to either save money or to help, to care for their loved ones. So just some things for you to think about and also start, having these discussions with your little one. Show them how much you pay in a mortgage, for your house, or how much you pay for rent for an apartment, how much food is, and that's crazy. I've been going to the grocery store, and I think on average we've been paying like $200 and something every 2 weeks, which has definitely gone up for us. So, be honest with them. Again, have these discussions so that way they know what to expect as they get older. Another thing that I wish my parents would have shared with me is the importance of credit scores. So I think all of us in this room know what a credit score is, but the scores can range from 300 to 850. There are some benefits of having a good credit score, and you'll even come across a lot of people who say, credit scores aren't important. And I always twitch when they say that, because that hasn't ever been the case in my lifetime. And I'm sure in a lot of yours. But it's also just important just to start talking with your children about the importance of a credit score, understanding, the terms of the account that they're taking out, whether it's a credit card or a loan agreement. Interest rates are huge. Talk to them about fees. Talk to them about how, how responsible they can be if they do have a credit card to make their monthly payments in full. There's definitely, some perks to that. Even I know some companies, if you have auto pay, they take off interest, or they, put things or give you perks and rewards. It's important to talk about, keeping your credit limit to a certain amount. It's usually recommended that you use no more than 30% of your credit limit. And there are credit cards out there for children or young adults right now. I think you have to be 18. But there are some other things, like my little ones have a green light. It's a debit card, so they can always, that's kind of to make them feel fancy that they have a credit card when really it's a debit card. And then to really just stress to your kiddos that you should only apply for credit if you really need it. A lot of the times you see a lot of young adults just going out for whatever, whether it's for free mile car points, etc., or rewards. But talk about the importance about not having so many credit cards open out there, so that way their credit score doesn't drop. Talk about the importance of having a credit score to buy a car, to buy a house, etc. I wish, again, my parents would have taught me a little bit more about this. So today, hopefully that'll kind of, even give you a reminder to start talking about this with your kids. The great thing, going back to, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? The great thing that we all have here in New Mexico is we have our PERA family. And when I say PERA family, that's PERA staff, that's PERA board members, that's a whole state of PERA family that is there for you on a daily basis. They're public servants in your community, helping, your state, county, municipal, judicial, magistrate agency, help your community provide resources, services, etc. So if you ever were to sit down and talk to your kids about your career, you are actually part of a generational PERA family here in New Mexico. So my generational PERA family stems all the way back to my grandfather, who was a PERA member. He didn't land up retiring with PERA, but my grandmother, his wife, landed up retiring with PERA. And since then, I've had aunts, uncles, my dad, my mom, family members, friends retire from PERA. So I think sometimes we take for granted what an amazing plan we fall under. And so this is a wonderful route for your kiddos to take in the future. The great thing with PERA, if your child ever decides to follow in your footsteps, they're going to make contributions just like you and myself. They'll have their employer contributions as well that play into that. And then they receive a lifetime benefit, which is huge. They do, like you and I, have to meet certain retirement eligibility requirements, but after that, they have this lifetime benefit to look forward to. And talk to your kids about what retirement means to you. When people think of retirement, they think of traveling, they think of going fishing every day, they think of spending more time with grandkids, or even with their own kids. And the great thing is, for example, my husband's a firefighter with the city of Santa Fe, and he's going to retire at 20 years. So he only has 10 more years left. By that time, we're still going to have our youngest daughter in high school and our middle child in high school. And so he even thinks about the perks of that, being able to go and take them to sporting events or take them to school functions, just be a big presence in their life, in one of the most crucial points in their lives of high school. So a lot of benefits to that. They'll also have a rewarding job, just like you and I, in the public sector. And they know that they're going to make a difference in New Mexico, just like yourself. And so, I feel like it's also inspirational to share that with your kids because, I think on a day-to-day basis, they're just like, yeah, my mom works here, like my dad works here. They go outside and they help people with signs, or my mom's on her laptop all day, or and they don't really know what we do. And so I think it's great to tell your kids, like, this is what I do on a daily basis. This is how I help people. And talk to them, like, if you were ever to go into government, this is what you could potentially do. You don't have to sit at a desktop every day. You could go outside. And I know that recently in New Mexico, we were hiring people to be bear huggers or bear caregivers. So there's so many cool things out there that our kiddos don't know about within the public sector that they can get into in the future. Another perk about being a PERA member out in your agency is that you have firsthand experience in an area that you're passionate about. Whether you are a state employee for the Department of Transportation and you get to help, make our roads better and safer for my family and I to go travel across New Mexico, or whether you are an employee with PED in our public education department and you're helping kids have a meal every day and have it be free. I think we don't give ourselves enough credit to say, like, wow, I'm in a career that I love and I'm helping people every single day. And so, tell your kids, this is what I get to do. This is the firsthand experience I get to do day to day in my job. And that you get paid to do what you love. And so by you being able to help kids have a free meal or help families across New Mexico travel safely, you get paid to do it. So it's something definitely to share with your kiddos. And then we're also going to dive in how, even being a PERA member, how you can start saving for your kids, and even for yourself, through our Smart Save Deferred Compensation Plan. This is our voluntary savings plan. So I'm actually going to invite Karen Lujan. She is our PERA Smart Save Deferred Compensation Plan Manager. I will go ahead and hand it on over to her.
Great. Thank you, Christina. Good job so far. This is really good information. So as everyone knows, as government employees, we are mandated to the PERA pension, which is one of the best pensions that are out there. We are so fortunate to have this pension system. In addition to that, you can also sign up for the voluntary 457B plan, which Christina said is called PERA Smart Save. This simply allows you to save more money for retirement. So why are we bringing this up during a presentation about how we teach our kids, right, to be more financially fit? So bear with me here. So even though this plan is a retirement plan, the IRS does allow participants to borrow a loan or an unforeseen emergency withdrawal while you're still actively working. I'll back up a little bit. You only have access to these funds when you terminate employment. However, if something comes up and you need some money, this plan will allow you to borrow a loan or take an unforeseen emergency withdrawal. These are two separate options. So this could be helpful for you when you're faced with a financial emergency. But just remember, in the end, it is a retirement account. It's not a savings account. Sometimes people are desperate and they need some money for something that came up and they need the money by Monday and it's Wednesday. Well, you've heard the term, my money is tied up in stocks and bonds. That's literally what is happening here. Your money is tied up in stocks and bonds. And so it's not like going to an ATM or going to a bank teller and pulling out this money. It does take a few days and possibly a week or two for you to actually get that money. So that's something to consider when you are borrowing or taking money out of your retirement plan. And I do have a point to all of this. The purpose of bringing that up is the fact of having an emergency savings set aside is so beneficial to everyone. Yes, this is convenient. This money, if you're participating in the Smart Save plan, your money is coming out of your paycheck automatically every pay period. So there's minimal effort for you. You're not seeing this money. But at the same time, if you were to set up a separate savings account that is automatically taken from whatever bank account you have, banks will do this for you now. If you have a checking and a savings account, or if you have another savings account at another bank, you can ask that bank to send that money to your savings account for you. It's the same concept. It's money that you didn't put in your pocket. It's money that you're saving automatically, money you don't see, and money that you're putting away. And you can refer to that as your liquid money. This is the money that you have when you are faced in the event of an emergency. It is so liberating to know that you have money set aside for this sort of thing. Another thing that the plan offers, for those of you who do participate in PERA Smart Save, you know that Voya is the plan's administrator. Voya has a program that's called Voya Cares, and this program offers resources to help with special needs financial planning. So if anybody has any family members with special needs and you are just curious about how to plan for that financially and how to plan for that in the future, Voya has the Voya Cares program that will provide you with all kinds of resources on how to get yourself financially set up when you are faced with this sort of situation, if you are faced with that. Before we go to the next slide, so Christina mentioned that I wish my parents would have shared this with me. Well, I'm the opposite. My parents did share all this information with me. And if you, on the next slide, I'm going to have some very wise words for you. And that is, oh, I'm sorry. That's the next one. That is monkey see, monkey do, right? Simple. My parents did grill into me, you got to save money, you got to save money, you got to save money. And I remember when I first started with my state job, this was in 2004, my mom retired from the state. My sister and my brother-in-law were already in the state. My dad was at Los Alamos, so he was different, but he did have a pension. So I now was joining the family in being part of the state system. And I remember being in my mom's kitchen and telling her, oh, I have this job, I have benefits, I'm going to be in the pension system, I'll be vested in whatever year. I didn't even understand what vested meant. And then my mom said, oh, that's great. So are you saving money? And I looked at her, well, what do you mean? She said, you need to save money. You need to put a little bit away every paycheck just as a savings account. And I asked her, well, like, how much should I save? And she said, minimum $10,000. I'm the type who does what my parents tell me. Even now in my late 40s, I still do what my parents tell me. Very obedient. And that's what I did. Right away, I opened a bank account at a separate bank. I think I asked to take out $50, and $50 of my paycheck was going to that bank. When I paid off my vehicle, I no longer had that car payment. So I took that money that I was paying to my car payment to that bank account. Anytime I pay something off, I automatically send that money straight to that savings account. And let me tell you, over the years, I don't have a ton of savings, but I have some savings. And like I mentioned earlier, it is so liberating to know that you have something to fall back on when you're faced with an emergency. And so the reason why I say monkey see, monkey do, our kids, our little kids and our adult kids, they will do what they see us do. And so if we, like Christina said, have these good habits ourselves, and we teach our kids, do it the way I did it, this is the good way, then your kids hopefully will do the same thing that you do. And I guess that goes with bad things too, right? If we're always on our phone, they're always going to be on their phone. So I guess we got to take that into account. But now go back to the previous slide. We'll go back to that previous slide. So we added this in here, the power of Smart Save. This is another thing. This is a table that shows how time and compounding works. So this table is specific for the deferred compensation plan. And that first column there where it says deferral per pay, if you took $25 out of your paycheck, if you look on that right-hand side, those three columns, you can see how your funds can grow over the course of 10, 20, 30 years. So if you only did $25 a paycheck, and of course, this is assuming you're in the stock market and you're getting at least 7% rate of return. So this is a hypothetical example, okay, hypothetical example. But you can see that over the course of 10, 20, 30 years, at only $25 per paycheck, you have the potential of earning $9,000, $27,000, and even up to $63,000, only with $25. So if you were to just start saving a little bit, and like I mentioned earlier, keep adding to that over time, your savings account can grow. And liberating is the only word I can think of, is when you know that you have that money in the bank and you discover a mouse infestation in the ceiling, and you have to, this is beyond Irish Spring and peppermint and $1.50 mouse traps, and you have to call the exterminator and they send you a bill for $1,700. That happens. You know, you've got that covered. Alleviates so much stress in your life when you have a little bit of savings to back yourself up. And then the last, these were just, if you guys took our seminar this summer, it was tips to financial planning. We took the same 10 tips, and we think that these are simple things to live by. So one, make savings automatic. Like I mentioned earlier, your deferred comp is automatically taken from your paycheck. You can set that up also with your bank if you want to set up a savings account. You make it automatic, it never goes in your pocket, so you never miss it. Control impulse spending. I am guilty of this. I'll be at the grocery store and I'll buy something ridiculous, and I will show it to my boyfriend and say, this was an impulse buy. That happens, so try and control that. Evaluate your expenses and live frugally. I absolutely do that. I am still one of those who balances my checkbook. I still have a paper checkbook, and I go through that every week. And people might say I'm cheap, but I like to say I'm frugal. I will definitely take the non-name brand cereal before, if it's cheaper than the name brand cereal. Trader Joe's, that's a good place to shop. Invest in your future. Pay yourself first. I say this every time. We are the most important people, right, in our lives, and so pay yourself first. Keep your family secure with emergency savings. I brought that up. Eliminate and avoid debt, like Christina mentioned earlier with the student debt and all of that. It's hard to get out of debt. I got myself out of debt twice, credit card debt. In college, I got a credit card, right? We're all broke in college, and the credit card companies hung out at the student union building, and you get a credit card like that. You can get a credit card so easy back then. I don't know what it's like now. And I maxed out some credit cards 2 times in my life, and I got myself out of debt 2 times. Happy to say that. Make an effort to track your spending. Like I said, I still balance my checkbook every week. I track everything. I know where every penny is. Pay bills immediately or set to auto pay. Christina mentioned that earlier. Sometimes if you have auto pay, there might be additional perks or rewards that help you out with that. Educate yourself on financial wellness. There's a wealth of knowledge or resources in your online Voya account. All kinds of financial wellness and financial planning tools, and look to grow your net worth. Like I said, it feels good to have a little nest egg. And if you make that a priority to keep feeding that nest egg, it feels really good.
Awesome. And Miss Karen, how can they enroll today if they don't have an account?
Sure. If you want to enroll, you can go to the website, and it's perasmartsave.voya.com, and you can enroll online. Very simple.
Perfect. Yeah. So as you can see, all of us have our own story. And like Karen said, she shared her experience in college. Yeah, you definitely had those credit card vendors there all the time. And so Smart Save is here to help you as a PERA member. And everything that Karen shared in front of you is the same information you could share with your little ones, and have them start thinking about all of that, going forward. And I'm so guilty of this. And it was funny that Karen used this little graphic of monkey see, monkey do, call my little ones my little monkeys. And I'm an impulsive spender, so my girls now can be impulsive spenders, and so I'm even trying to educate them about, saving money, earning their money, and we're going to go about that here shortly. So thank you so much, Karen. We appreciate you. And if you have any questions, Karen is the expert, and so we can always link you up with her after today's seminar.
Yeah, and I'll stay on.
Awesome. Thank you, Miss Karen. Before that, I lost a slide, and it landed up being here, but this is some information that we thought would definitely even affect you and your children, being PERA members. One thing that we try to educate our members on the most is the importance of beneficiary designations. So you might even think like, why is this in a financially savvy seminar? And the reason being is that you want to make sure that you're designating the correct beneficiary, whether it is a spouse, whether it's your children, whether it's a parent, etc. Because we come across so many members on a daily basis who have the wrong person on account. And then when we proceed to tell them that today, if they were to pass, this person who they no longer talk to, who's still their beneficiary, could potentially receive their lifetime benefit if they were to pass today. And so it definitely affects your children. As an active PERA member, you can designate a refund beneficiary and a survivor beneficiary. So it's super important that you know who these beneficiary designations are, as it can definitely depend on, whether this person gets a lifetime benefit or whether they get a refund of any contributions on account. Effective June 19th of this year, a member can designate a supplemental needs trust as a refund, survivor, or post-retirement beneficiary. So this is something that has been huge, that was just signed by the governor. So that can definitely affect you and your family as well. When it comes to being a retired PERA member, when you apply for retirement, you actually select a form of payment option. This option helps you choose and determine whether your benefit will go to a beneficiary after you pass away. And so you also want to make sure that when you're putting in your application for pension, that you have the correct person as a beneficiary if you do choose to go forward with the payment options that pertain to that. So it's just a good reminder for all of you, as it can affect you, your future, your kids. So something definitely to kind of think about. That's just a little PSA for you all. Going forward, we wanted to include some activities that you could do with your little ones to kind of get them thinking about finances, etc. So we found some activities, and you can kind of see what age ranges it can be, it can go towards. And so the first activity, I would see maybe your pre-K to, even your third graders if you had wanted to. We all have them, and I'm guilty of this. I have a corner for my 2-year-old. I have her kitchen, and I have toys galore. And it doesn't require you to go out and buy any of these items, but you can even use items in your kitchen, like cartons. You can use toys that they have. You can even make little cardboard boxes and put the prices. That's all we really want you to do, is label each item in increments of 10 cents. So 10, 20, 30, 40, etc. You can give your kids real money. With the little ones, I don't advise that, but for your older kiddos, you can give them real money or the plastic toy money that equals to $1. You set some ground rules to them, and you tell them that they can purchase 1 to 2 items with their money. And then you can have, if you have multiple kids, you can have them, one be the cashier and practice counting money and taking money. You can also have the other child going to buy these 2 items and helping them to calculate how much it costs and if they have enough money. And then after that experience, you want to just sit with them and talk about, what did they learn from it? The website that I got these activities from was In Charge, and it's a debt solution program. And it was free. So you can find a quiz sheet for them at incharge.org. And it kind of just asks them questions like, what could you have bought with your money? Facts that they can learn about. And really what the goal of this activity is introducing them to how they can spend money, what they decide they want to spend their money on, and gain self-confidence in the decisions that they made, like I thought it was more valuable for me to buy bananas instead of a toy so that way I could eat today, etc. So it just kind of helps them recognize money, and gives them some confidence in buying items as a little one. The second activity I feel is like things we already do, but maybe you don't have a chore chart at home. I have these with my daughters. We don't pay them every Friday. They're lucky if they get paid once a month. No, I'm just kidding. We're really just trying to teach them to be responsible for money and that they have to work to get money. So you can always, assign jobs or chores to them and make a really cute chart. There's a bunch online that are free that you can even download. There's some that you can pay for that are super fancy. But it has to be super simple. You just put, the job chore and the price that's included with it. Whether it's wiping down the windows or folding laundry, you can put the amount. You can even make it fun for them and buy stickers. Everybody loves stickers. Who doesn't love stickers? And kind of just praise your little ones when they complete a chore, build their confidence and knowing that they're earning their money. They're not just getting it from their mom and dad or caregiver. And then if there's something that they want to buy, have them do some research on it. How much does it cost? Create a countdown sheet for them. Get their money out of their piggy bank or wherever they save their money and count together and see, how much they have left to buy, whether I know it's popular, a phone or buy AirPods or those are my kids. I'm just speaking on my kids, or Starbucks. I'm thinking of all the popular things. Get in that mindset of, how much money do I need to get there? Talking about the difference between needs and wants. Do I need those AirPods or do I want those AirPods? And then starting to just think about money in small amounts, so that way they can see that work and money are connected in general. Another activity that's pretty interesting, and I could see this being for, middle schoolers all the way up to high school, is learning about the importance of compounding. And so Karen already touched a little bit about compounding and how even your Smart Save account builds money over time. An activity for them is have them look into financial institutions in the area. It could be banks, credit unions. Have them research what the difference is between a savings account at banks and credit unions. Have them make a comparison chart to kind of see the differences between all of those institutions. Have them, even research, if they were to have an emergency, like Karen had mentioned, how much would they need to take out, and are there any penalties associated with that savings account? Have them, even talk or even look into calculating a dollar. So in front of you, in 1 year, if they had a dollar, depending on the interest, how would it grow? So, in a year with a 10% interest, they would build 10 cents off of that. In 10 years, they could see, $2.71 at a 10% interest rate. Kind of just get them in that mindset of, how if you have money in a little nest egg, how it could build over time. Again, it's a really cool sheet that you can sit with them and just kind of quiz them on what they learned. And this kind of has them just think about different savings account options, calculating interest rates, and then, compounding in the future of their money. Another activity that I see or middle schoolers, even elementary, is, asking your child, what is it that you want to buy within the next week or month? You could have them put a list together, and then again, talk about, their needs versus their wants and how could they live without it, or is it something that they really need? And then have them watch a YouTube ad. I thought this was really interesting, and talk about what they observed. When you're talking to them about what they saw, have them talk about, okay, well, what was the price? Did they include the price? Because we all know the most expensive things never have a price next to them. I remember going to a fancy restaurant last year, and there wasn't prices on the menu, and I was like, asking my husband, why isn't there prices? And he was like, because they don't want you to see the prices. It's expensive. Have them talk about the color, the size in the ad of the object that they want. And if there were any hidden messages from there as well. And then even talk to them about the truth of these ads. So, to the left, you have these beautiful cars. They're, a Lamborghini, a Land Rover, two of the most expensive cars. Yeah, they're beautiful. They look great in these commercials. But also, you have to think about the wear and tear. Is this car going to depreciate over time? Is it reliable? Is it safe? If you plan on having kids in the future, is this a car that you can have to put a car seat in? Do you live in the country? Is it 4-wheel drive? Are you going to need tires? I just replaced my windshield. It was like $350. Things you want to be realistic with your little ones and say, okay, this is a beautiful car, but you also have to think of this as well. This activity kind of just gets them to first off do research on what they want to purchase. I think a lot of the times, like Karen and I just admitted, we're compulsive shoppers. I'm the person that will do research for 5 minutes, and if I like it, I go and buy it. And then I find out later when looking at reviews that I should have bought this product instead of that product. So you want them to start thinking of, doing their research, thinking of the positives and the negatives, and then think about, is this something that I need or is it something that I can live without? So it's a really cool activity, especially because it involves YouTube and every kid loves YouTube. Another great resource here in New Mexico is the education plan. So we actually asked our friends at the education plan to present with us today, but unfortunately they were at a conference today. But we kind of just wanted to put a plug in for them. It is a college savings plan here in New Mexico through the Education Trust Board. It's designed to help families pay for college expenses. And the great thing is that it allows you to open a tax advantaged account directly, and you can choose from different investment options that kind of meet your specific needs and situation. So if you're interested, you can visit their website at www.theeducationplan.com, and an 800 number that you can also call and get more information on as well. If you are just interested in just seeing where you're at, and even sitting with your kiddos, like show them how much you make, how much service credit you're accruing on a monthly basis. If you want to show them, how much you're going to make in retirement and calculating that for them. There's a variety of ways to do that. So we do send out an annual member statement by mail, usually in early October. It has all of your account contributions total, your service credit, your beneficiary information, and all of this is as of June 30th of each year. But if you want to see real live account information, you can open an online Rio account. It's pretty easy. You just go to our website, www.nmpera.org. You're going to see a yellow button at the top and it says Rio login. It takes about 2 minutes to set up your account. And then after that, you have 24/7 access to your account information. We have estimate calculators on there, so you can always sit with your kiddos and go through those calculators. Just some really good resources for you as a PERA member. We have a lot of great resources on PERA's website as well. We have handbooks, retirement kits. We have videos, so if you ever want to have your kids research what PERA is, we have a video library, so you can take a look at all of our videos, our kits, our handbooks, forms, etc. And then we're cool. We're a cool agency. We have social media. So we do have Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So we even do some social media influencing ourselves here at PERA. So we definitely encourage you to follow us for some good information. And then our contact information. So you can always call us, email us, you can fax us, you can always come by. One of the biggest questions we get from members is, I would love to meet with someone. How can I make an appointment? The great thing is that you do not have to make an appointment to come and speak with the specialist. You can come Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We do see members on a walk-in first come first serve basis. We have been experiencing power outages, and then with all the crazy weather, we usually advise members to give us a call ahead of time or send us an email to see if we're going to be open. Just because we know members can travel all the way down from Las Cruces to Albuquerque, and we would hate for you to make that trip and then find that we had a power outage and our offices are closed. So give us a ring ahead of time or send us an email. Since COVID, we have been taking documents electronically. So you can always email us your forms. You can fax it. If you have a Rio account, you can also upload your forms there as well, and it'll come straight to PERA. And then we also have drop boxes in front of both locations. So if you're someone that wants to drop it off in person, you can definitely do that without even having to talk with someone at PERA. So with that being said, that concludes our presentation, but always feel free to contact PERA if you have any questions. And like I said, we're a PERA family, so we're here to help you have a healthy retirement, and we want to help your kids have a healthy retirement. So always feel free to reach out to us if you need anything. And with that, I'm going to stop the recording, and then we're going to go ahead and open it up for